Journey United Methodist Church welcomes you to Black History Month 2023 as we spotlight the history of the United Methodist Church and the Black College Fund. Today, we discuss two of the 11 HBCUs, Wiley College in Marshall, Texas, and Rust College in Holly Springs, Mississippi. Wiley College was founded in 1873 in Marshall, Texas, and is an institution of the United Methodist Church. The legacy of Wiley expands for 150 years with a collection of prophetic leaders whose purpose was to persevere in a climate of hatred in the South and in the face of great personal sacrifice. It was their strength of character in the face of hardship and bitterness that forged the early foundations of the stronghold of academic excellence. Named in honor of Bishop Isaac William Wiley, an outstanding minister, medical missionary, and educator. Wiley College was founded during turbulent times for African Americans in America. Although African American males were given the right to vote in 1870, intimidation of America's newest citizens in the form of violence increased. The United States Supreme Court helped pave the way for segregation with the 1896 Plessy versus Ferguson decision that approved of the separate but equal doctrine. The anti-segregation student sit-ins at Wiley were at the forefront of the civil rights movement in Texas. As previously mentioned, educational institutions were established to provide an education for newly freed men and women and to prepare them for a new way of life. Wiley University, as the school was originally named, had been considered a forerunner in the educational field as the school took the leadership role in reorganizing Black schools of higher education. In 1929, the school was renamed Wiley College. It was at this time the high school and trade school was discontinued. Wiley College was recognized in 1933 as an A-class college by the Association of Colleges and Secondary Schools of the Southern States. This marked the first time any Black school had ever been rated by the same agency and standards as other universities. Wiley College opened its doors just south of Marshall with 2 frame buildings and an overwhelming desire to succeed in a climate burdened with racism and Jim Crow laws. So ingrained was their desire to succeed that in 1880, rather than moving Wiley College further out of town, the founders of the college moved nearer to Marshall on 55 acres of wooded land where the college stands today. Land was cleared and 4 additional buildings were constructed as student enrollment soared to 160 students with 7 full-time faculty members. Wiley College had effectively become the first Black college west of the Mississippi River. The rich history of Wiley continued to thrive at a time when floods, cotton crop failures, and a reactivated KKK motivated Southern rural Black people to migrate to the North in search of employment opportunities. Wiley continued during these times to expand on the campus and the student body. The college earned international visibility on December 25th, 2007, with the release of the movie, The Great Debaters, directed by Denzel Washington and produced by Harpo Productions. This major motion picture portrayed the fame and reputation of Professor Melvin B. Tolson and the intellectual legacy of 4 former students, Hobart Jarrett, Henry Heights, James Farmer Jr., and Henrietta Bell Wells. Professor Tolson organized the team in 1924 when he arrived at Wiley College. It was the debate team's 1935 victory over that year's national champions that was the subject of the movie. Denzel Washington also donated $1 million to revive the debate team in 2007. And the club is still in existence today. Wiley College celebrated the institution's 150-year anniversary in July 2022 and will continue celebrating its proud history of advocacy, activism, scholarship, and excellence, ending at the Founders Day convocation on March 17, 2023. The Wiley College motto is "Go Forth, Inspired." Rust College was established in 1866 at Shaw University for the education of freed slaves by Mississippi Methodists and the Freedmen's Aid Society. The college was renamed in 1890 to honor Richard Sutton Rust, Methodist clergyman, educator, and abolitionist. This message is found on a roadside marker in Holly Springs, Mississippi. The college was chartered in 1870 as Shaw University when the Reverend S.O. Shaw gifted the school for $10,000. The college was named officially and changed in 1892 to avoid confusion with Shaw University in North Carolina. It was considered a tribute to Richard S. Rust of Cincinnati, Ohio, who had been the secretary of the Freedmen's Aid Society. The name changed again to Rust College in 1920 when the first African-American president was elected. Among historically Black colleges and universities, or HBCUs, Rust is the oldest in both Mississippi and the United Methodist Church, and is one of only 5 HBCUs founded before 1867, still in operation. An early trustee of Rust College was a man by the name of James Wells. Mr. Wells' daughter was the well-known activist and journalist Ida B. Wells. Ms. Wells did not graduate from Rust College, as she was expelled from the college after 2 years and a confrontation with the school president. Considered a noted civil rights advocate, Ms. Wells was the first person to challenge public accommodations in transportation in the 1890s. She gifted Rust College with the Ida B. Wells Memorial Foundation, created at the college to award scholarships to 3 students each year when entering their junior and senior year. As recently as March 2022, Rust College received funding to build the Ida B. Wells Social Justice and Interpretive Center, which will celebrate Mississippi's civil rights history and educate students and the community. It is also to be a collaborative effort to fight against discrimination and poverty and to drive policy change. Other notable alumni of Rust College included Eddie Lee Smith Jr., the first African-American mayor of Holly Springs, and Alexander Preston Shaw, the first African-American bishop of the Methodist Church. As a side note, Bishop Shaw was born in Mississippi in 1879 and graduated from Rust College in 1902. He entered the ministry of the Methodist Episcopal Church and eventually served 14 years as pastor of Wesley Chapel in Los Angeles before being elected a bishop in 1936. and serving segregated conferences in New Orleans and Baltimore. Today, Rust College's 126-acre campus is home to approximately 1,000 students representing more than 20 states and 2 foreign countries. With the beginning of the civil rights movement of the 1960s, the president of Rust College, E.A. Smith, set an example of activism for the students. Many of Rust College students went to Mississippi during the 1950s and 60s to help register people to vote and challenge segregation. Many were met with violence and sometimes threats of death by residents and law enforcement officials. Rust College offered a place for civil rights workers to meet, camp out, and escape danger. Students took part in boycotting the segregated Holly Theater, which evolved into the youth center of the NAACP at Rust. In March of 1962, the NAACP field secretary installed its officers. That field secretary was Medgar Evers. In the same year, 5 Rust College students made a historic visit to the University of Mississippi, where James Meredith had graduated earlier that year. They were the very first African-American students to walk on that campus after Meredith's graduation. As the civil rights movement continued to amplify, Rust College students became active in the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee, or SNCC, and recruited students to form a speakers bureau. The students visited rural churches and community centers in Holly Springs and surrounding areas to raise awareness during the Freedom Vote campaign. Rust students were also active in the Mississippi Freedom Democratic Party protests at the state capitol in Jackson. The students and the leadership of Rust College all played an integral part in the integration of local clinics, doctors' waiting rooms, and the bus terminal. For 150 plus years, Rust College has shown concern about the conditions that our country faces and continues to encourage students to become active participants in all activities that promote the welfare of all people. The school's motto is, "Where tomorrow's leaders are students today." Thank you.